let's take Emmanuel, they them out of Georgia. Emmanuel, how do you come out as an atheist to your parents? That's what you want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about. Well, tell us about you and tell us about your parents.
Hi, good afternoon, guys. My name is Emmanuel. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
super excited because this is my first time calling, and I've been
Yeah.
following you guys for about like 10 years now. So,
Okay.
thank you, by the way, for having me. Anyway, I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I've been living in Georgia for about a little over 10 years, and my parents are like very Pentecostal.
Yeah.
Um, and I came out of the closet, like out of the gay closet, in my teens. But it's just they are very religious, and I'm always like fighting with them because I just don't want to hear anything that has to do with religion, if that makes sense. Because they're always like, "Oh, God bless you, God
Sure.
this and God that." It's just so annoying. It really is.
Oh
So
yeah.
I said I saw a like a YouTube thing talking where Dr. Degrassi was talking about how if God is not all, he cannot be all good and powerful. Like pretty much saying that he cannot be both, right? So I did write that in that letter.
Mm.
How he as a kid, I always knew I was gay, right? But I was like, and then they're always talking about how God has said kids and children are from God. But I always had this feeling about being gay, right? So he either cannot be all good or he
All
cannot
right.
really be all powerful.
Sure.
Okay. Really quick, Emmanuel, you're excited to be here, and we're excited to have you. So let's stick with one thing at a time. You called to talk to your parents about coming out as an atheist, and you're talking about coming out perhaps as gay or gay rights, and talking about different arguments for the existence of God. Let's talk about one thing first. How do you come out to your family as atheist? Um, do you have to? Do you
Uh,
want to?
I think I have to so I can make my point.
What's your point?
And
What's the point you want to
I
make?
think it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
Well, we don't have to live. I don't have to live your like religious beliefs, and I just want to them to back off on the religious belief and stop like shoving it down my throat, if that makes sense.
It's
Does.
about setting a boundary, letting them know that, this is what I believe. And so I don't really need to keep being reminded about what you believe. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes, pretty much.
Okay.
Y-
Um, all right. There's lots of ways to do that. Is you might want to start now. Different people will tell you different things. Pardon me. Oh, I'm all broken up about Spock. Um, but when you when you have interactions with your family, other than with religious things, are you close? Do you get along? Do you have calm energy, or is it a tension filled interaction? What's it like?
It's always a tension-filled interaction. We don't. I mean, I love my mom, and we want to say that we are tight, but we barely talk, which is the honest truth.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then and what is your usual interaction with them? Are you usually you said there's tension. There's lots of different kinds of tension, right? There's that quiet tension where it's suspenseful, and then there's tension where it gets loud or con- contentious. Do you yell at each other? Do you argue with each other, or is it more like you're giving each other eyeballs? What's it like?
The first one where it's a quiet
Mm.
tension.
Yeah.
We talk for 5 minutes on the phone just to pretty much touch base and make sure that each other are okay, and
Yeah.
then we hang up and don't talk like in weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's totally possible that sharing this part of yourself could make that a lot worse and could drive an even deeper wedge. And that's, something to be mindful of. But it sounds like you're wanting to be closer, and a little bit of sincerity, a little bit of transparency may be an important step in that.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel, and it's just I know that I always every time I listen to the show and listening how people want to be closer to their parents and their family members, I'm always like, shit, I don't need to be close to my family. Like, I don't need that love. Like, if they don't care about me, I'm the one who's gonna say bye and move on. But
Yeah.
the truth is, it really affects me, and it's not until
Yeah.
now that I can really say that out loud. You know?
It's your life, Emmanuel. And our family is there. There's a tradition, I think, of you stick with your family through thick and thin. And I think
Yeah.
that notion is maybe a general principle that we like. It's certainly aspirational, but there are family members who are not who we want to get away from. I'm not saying your family is someone you need to get away from, but I would say that you're not obligated to continue communicating with your family if they are putting you in a position that makes you that affects you negatively. Or you can set up boundaries, and you probably should. We should all set healthy boundaries for ourselves. That's I guess that's probably more of a therapist's take on it. And so I don't want to say too
Yeah.
much on that, where you should set your boundaries. But I will say this as far as communicating with your family members about your non belief, because it's already a tension filled interaction. You might be minimalistic about it. Okay.
Mhm.
You don't have to say, God is a lie. All of this is brainwashing. You don't have to do that. When you watch people on these shows call in and butt heads or wrestle with the hosts, it's it's a kind of Thunderdome. It's a place where we don't have to live with them. We don't have to have Thanksgiving or whatever. We'll probably never meet these people in real life unless they're cool and we want to. But we probably will not. And so you have to take a different tack than you would with family members. And so what you might consider saying is next time it comes up, if it's your mom or your dad or whomever, say, hey, just I want to let you know, I've been examining my faith in God for some time now. I didn't want to bother you about it as a personal journey. And I'm just I don't believe that stuff.
Yeah, I
So
I would
yeah,
very much encourage you to center it around yourself and your
yeah,
experience. It's not this is what is right, this is what is
yeah,
true, or this is what I expect from you or demand from you.
yeah,
It's, hey, if you want to be a part of my life, well, let me tell you about me.
yeah.
These are my hobbies. These are my interests. These are the things that I like. And talking about what you believe about the world is going to be a part of that.
Yeah. And you're not saying that they're wrong. Now they're probably gonna take it to mean you think they're wrong. You think that they're
Hmm.
foolish. You think that they've done wrong by you by inculcating you into these rights. But you can say, no, it's nothing about you. This is my own personal journey, my own personal examination of myself and the world and what I think is in it and what I think isn't. And I'm just not there with you on that. So I just want to let you know that, mom, dad, whomever. And I don't want to talk about this stuff right now. I need to explore this on my own.
Right.
I want to talk about the other things we have in common, whatever that is. If there is anything, it sounds like there's not a whole lot. I'll tell you from my own personal experience that my mother is a church lady, and she wished me a happy Easter today, and I took it for what it meant. It was an important day for her, and it's not an important day for me. Not really. It's a day that I got Friday off. That was cool.
Nice.
But and
Me
it might
too.
yeah, and it's usually at a nice time of the year, so I can do some stuff outside that maybe I couldn't do before, and maybe in the future I can because it'll be too hot or too cold, whatever. It happens to be a nice day today, and um, that's about it. I don't need to rub it in to her. I don't feel the need to do that, but I'm not newly out as an atheist. I've been out for years now, and I've went through the the fight with her over it. So I'd keep it minimal and let her process it. Just it's like was it a cortado where you put like a little tiny drop of
Just a little bit of like milk cream and foam
little, yeah,
to
a little
just,
bit.
yeah, just to smooth it out a little bit. Yeah,
you
no,
go.
I think that's exactly the right take. If you center this around you and around who you are and wanting to have a relationship with them, it's not about coercion or control or about who is smarter or who is more right or who votes the way that they're supposed to. Or, I mean, this does not need to be your mission field. You don't need to colonize their minds with your beliefs just because they're superior. They may very well be more rational. They may very well be more reasonable and possibly, potentially, even very valuable for your parents. And maybe they'll
Right.
express an interest in it, but it doesn't sound like that's where you're at. So I think the only thing I would really tack on to what we have been saying so far is that while I think it can be very valuable to come out to have these conversations, you're still not obligated to. So if you want to share a little bit, share a little bit. If you want to eventually share a little bit more, share a little bit more. You are allowed to open up at the pace that feels right to you or not at all. And it's not an obligation to feel like you have to be transparent. The fact that you don't feel safe being open with them is not entirely your fault. Now, some bravery may be called for if you want to preserve these relationships. If you want to show up and engage with this relationship, then yeah, maybe you do need to kind of put yourself out there a little bit and extend some trust, but don't overextend that trust or put yourself in a position where you're going to be vulnerable in a way that you're not prepared to be.
Yep. Final thoughts, Emmanuel, and then we're going to let
That's
you go.
awesome. Oh, okay. No, no worries. I just wanted to say that that's how I feel. Like I'm not obligated to do anything I don't want to, especially if I'm not ready to come out. But I feel like it's a society, and I mean they are. I not only me and my parents, but I mean like the society as a whole. They always want to infringe their religious belief, and that's
Yeah.
why we are suffering with, with how would you call it, with gay hate and transphobia and
Yeah.
and,
Mhm.
and and just phobia as a whole. And that's why I feel like enough is enough, and we should be able to voice our opinions and say who we are. That way they know that
Yes.
we're out there. And just because we are atheists, that doesn't mean that we are bad people. So I
Mhm.
think it's just that
Right.
people believe that we're just, and there's
Right.
just no equality. And that's what we are.
Well,
That's
We
a
are.
lot to
Emmanuel,
take on, though.
yeah, yeah,
That's
it
like
is.
our whole culture. Just be
Yeah.
here in these relationships
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah, Emmanuel, we're going to let you go. Did you hear me? Did you hear anything that I said? It was good
I
stuff.
didn't. I assumed that it was perhaps on my end. I was waiting on it.
Now, that is a lot of pressure to put on yourself, Emmanuel. I'll let you go. Thank you for calling.